Hello out there. In this video, we're going to talk about episode 7 of Picard, and we're going to go meet my neighbor with the chainsaw. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in today's video, we're going to talk about monsters. This is Picard episode 7 for the second season, and let's first of all bring you up to date from what happened the last episode. We know that Picard was hit by a car driven by Dr. Sun and then put into the clinic that Rios first found himself in when he was injured, and trying to run a defibrillator on him, his android body shorts out the defibrillator. The doctor finds that he is okay, but not coming out of what would seem to be a coma. It doesn't have the usual symptoms. And so she goes off to get her son from school or something like this. And it leaves Rios and Talon in there to treat him. And what we have here, and of course, Raffi and Seven. Now, what we have decided to do at the end of the episode is that Talon is going to do some kind of entry into his subconscious, somewhere between a mind meld and that movie with Leo DiCaprio where they go and occupy people's dreams, Inception. So with this, she goes into his mind, and this whole episode really is mostly learning about where Picard got the motivation to go into space to begin with, to be an explorer. They've shown in flashbacks of him with his mother, and his already stated that his father was a terrible fellow. We didn't know exactly what he did, if he was an abuser, if he was some kind of disciplinarian or who knows what. And in doing so, we have, as Talon goes into his subconscious, we find him sitting in his tuxedo in a chair in space, some kind of, it looks like Will Wheaton's set for After Trek. And across from him is sitting somebody that I think at first is Dr. Bashir, but it's not. It is a psychiatrist in a Starfleet uniform, played by James Callis, who interestingly has been mistaken for Dr. Bashir, for Alexander Siddig for quite some time, and in fact has been in other Star Trek episodes before. He was also part of 13 Monkeys. Anyway, and other things. But at any rate, he is trying to psychoanalyze Picard. Picard is kind of resistant to that, doesn't know why he needs to be there, and we are slowly starting to see what it is that he is about. And there is a lot of introspection into what Picard's early life was, and we find out that his father was not who he thought he was, and his mother was not who he thought she was either, at least not their various conditions. Perhaps the father wasn't so bad, perhaps the mother was not so good, and that's what they go into in this episode, and it's quite interesting. It does not advance the plot any really, because we don't know what's happened to Renee. We don't know what Sung is dealing with right now. We don't know what the point in moving along with getting the time stream changed. None of this is paid any attention to. In fact, Rios goes as far as inviting the doctor and her son to beam aboard the La Serena and show them around. So much for obstructing the timeline. At any rate, there's an interesting little remark in there where before they go over there, she says, you're very strange. Are you from outer space or something? And he says, no, I'm from Chile. I just work in outer space, which is essentially the line that was used in Star Trek IV by Kirk. So using the same kind of charm. So it was clever and an interesting Easter egg. We find in Picard's dream state, coma state, whatever it is, that Talon is visiting, that there is something that goes through a saying, apparently from his mother, there's no better teacher than my enemy. And that says something about the whole plot of this season, in that no better teacher than my enemy, and that probably refers to Q in this story. We don't know about Agnes. The last scene of last time's episode was her walking away in the red dress, apparently merged with the Borg Queen. And in this episode, we really don't know what the progression is. If the Queen is more in control, or Agnes is more in control, or if there's still the struggle going on. It's hard to tell, and they really don't tell us anything in this episode, although there is a scene there. We have a surprise reveal about Talon, and also we find out something about the rivalry between Elarians and the Q, and that the Elarians and the Q have had some kind of unpleasantry for a long time. And one thing that we do know is that the Elarians can call a Q, although it seems odd that they would need to, since they want to stay as far away from him as they can. At any rate, in attempt to do this, when Picard goes back to see Guinan again, they're not able to do it, and she's very surprised by this. So that is kind of where they leave us in this episode, in that we knew that Picard was going to get better. I mean, I'm not giving that too much away. Really, most thing that you get from this is just some insight into Picard's mind, why he became Starfleet, why he became a captain, his style, all this kind of stuff kind of revolves around this early life experience and dealing with the catacombs of Chateau Picard. So this is very interestingly done to that point. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't move the plot along. It seems that 10 episodes isn't a whole lot of time to resolve an entire puzzle that they have set up, and yet they seem to have time to stop and give us a little character development. And this is not only with Picard, but also with Raffi and Seven, a little bit with Rios. Not much else at this point. An interesting little thing in there, uncredited appearance by Sunny Ozell, who is Patrick Stewart's wife. She sings in a bar that Agnes goes into. So that's kind of interesting there. So that's my takeaway on Monsters by Picard. You don't always know who the monsters are. They're not always in the rubber suits with the jagged teeth. Sometimes they may just look like somebody you know. So I'd like to know what you think about this. Please put some comments down in the comments area below, and we will read them. And of course, also, if you have not yet subscribed, please do. We've had some people that have been subscribing since we did our Star Trek The Motion Picture video, and we really do appreciate all the people who followed us, and those that have continued on with us. Thank you very much for being here. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Doctor Who special, which is coming up, and then there's still 3 more episodes of Picard to do. After that, we'll start Strange New Worlds, and that's going to be a very interesting one for us to follow, and we'll be talking about it here. So, until next time, don't go far.